What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Miss Sophia the Diva, and I am coming here to you live to talk about this week's episode of Iyanla Vanzant's Fix My Life on the OWN Network, as well as to have a brief discussion about this wonderful new show that OWN has put on from the Lakewood Church, Pastor John Gray. I am going to go back and review the first 2 episodes of this season for Iyanla Vanzant because Neffa and her husband, Chad, they so dysfunctional. I'm just like, fix it, Jesus. Somebody need to go lay hands on that. But we'll talk about that one in another separate video because there's a lot of notes I need to take on that. And the cycle has ended and for my teaching, so now I have time to sit down and take notes and go over stuff. But because this week's episode is so fresh in my mind, I want to talk about Iyanla Vanzant Fix My Life with Terrell Jackson, Tito's son, 3T, Michael Jackson's nephew, and his baby mama, Brianna Brown. Okay, so they've been together for 10 years. They have 2 children. They live in California, and they not married. And California doesn't honor common law marriage. Hell, at that point, somebody need to figure out what the hell we gonna do in this relationship. One person that was watching with me while we were on Twitter, she asked me had I ever watched the show that was on Lifetime about the new generation of Jacksons. I never watched it because I had no interest in it, but apparently Miss Brianna, honey, be treating him like how she feels about him, and like she told Iyanla she feels about him. And I was like, well, why are you there? If you think that he is not a man, I think he said that she calls him a piece of shit. He's not a man. He doesn't provide. But hold up, wait a minute. We find out later on in the episode that he does provide. You got a roof over your head because that's his house that he bought. And you not own the title or the deed, so how is he not providing for you? Quite frankly, I don't think they need to be together. She seems to be manipulative. And quite frankly, like Terrell said, he didn't want to say it, but I was like, she oozes the very essence of what people say when they say that someone is a bitch. And I hate using that term, but the fact of the matter is that is how she acts, okay? Brianna talking about, he don't make me feel safe, you know, because as a woman, I need to feel safe. And I'm like, well, if you don't feel safe, why are you there? Why are you there? She had so many excuses during this episode. And she has no respect for him as a man, as a provider, as the father of her children. And trust and believe these children are eventually going to pick up on these attitudes that she has towards him. But I think they have 2 boys. I don't think there's girls. But I don't know what kind of model behavior these dysfunctional parents got going on. But I don't think they need to be together. Iyanla said, you don't feel, you don't react. You just 2 people occupying the same space. Because she said there was a time when he moved out the house, he only came to use his in-home studio. And then he would go stay the night somewhere else. That didn't bother you? That seems a little dysfunctional to me. Hey, Kim. Oh, thank you. Yes, my little Beyonce. Which one is this one? Is this Bobby Boss? I don't remember which one this one is. Quite frankly, Brianna is manipulative. Bottom line, that's what I think. And the side eye she was giving him, I said, goddamn, next thing we know, the War of the Roses is going to break out over here. Because when he was talking about how she's, you know, just mean to him. And I was like, this relationship is in total breakdown. They've been together so long that it's true. For those of you who are on my Facebook, you know, I posed the question the other day about why is it, thanks to my girl D, she had posted this same question. Why do people continue to stay in relationships that are pretty much dead? To me, it's like carrying around the shell of a dead carcass of some sort. Why do we continue to stay? Well, Brianna is the epitome of that. She's like, he provides me security, you know, and all my life I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, Terrell, if she told you that from jump, that should have told you right there as soon as she found out whose nephew you were and what family you were from. Oh, she was ready to lay down with you and pop out a couple of babies so she could lay up. She didn't even demand a ring. As long as she got a housekeeper, she's good. Okay? That don't make any sense. But you know, both of them are hurt. Her daddy wasn't really around. He was molested, as it turns out, by a relative, but he did want to give the notice that no, it was not any of his father's brothers, but it was a relative. And in my mind, the first person that came to mind was that horrible nephew of Joe's that is mistreating Mama Catherine. And I believe it. I don't think that woman senile and gone around the bend. I believe that man was doing something to that woman. And don't nobody, well, I was like, where's all, you done had all these damn kids and ain't nobody around to help you. Quite frankly, I think Brianna is an opportunistic parasite. Because she was like, well, you know, I don't know how to get out. And she was like, well, why don't you go down? Iyanla was like, why don't you go down to the courts and file for put him on child support? Well, because, you know, this family, they're very powerful. And I just, you know, they've gotten away with not paying child support. And I was like, must be talking about his Uncle Jermaine. Because Lord knows Brickhead don't, he try to get out of everything. Okay, let me shut up talking about that man with that jacked up hairdo. I don't know. He looked like at any moment you could take an iron to it or something and just try to crack it, and it's a hammer, and it still wouldn't be, it would still stay in place. So Iyanla Vanzant kept sticking at that notion that the reason why you're with Terrell is that this Brianna chick is with Terrell is because, you know, he's a Jackson. And she's like, well, what did I gain out of it? I don't get any type of financial gain. And I'm like, girl, but you do. You got two heirs to the Jackson fortune, whatever may be left in the end. Okay. Well, something happened to Tito. I'm pretty sure Tito has something to leave behind for his three boys. So you got two heirs. She just had every excuse in the book, but we know that as women, 9 times out of 10, the reason why anyone would proffer those type of excuses about where am I going to go, what am I going to do for money. Oh, I love Iyanla. She was like, hell, if you got to pitch a tent in the park, get the hell out. I was like, you know that girl can't pitch no tent in the park. You know how they are about public vagrancy. She'll be arrested, and then the kids will end up down to the social services. She did ask Terrell when they were talking, listen, are you a man or just a Jackson? Reasonable question to ask because a lot of people identify them lives based upon their family legacy. He also said that there was a time when they decided to start living together that there was an agreement between them where it was understood that these are the bills he would pay and these are the bills she would pay. Well, when the first month comes, she's popping off about, you can't tell me what to do with my bills. I was like, see, that's where you messed up. In the law of contracts, there is something called a waiver. For instance, if you continue to accept payments late, then that creates a pattern of practice, which means that your agreement has changed whether it was written or not. So, Terrell, you allowed her aberrant behavior to continue, you enabled it, and therefore now you are stuck paying all of the bills and being the provider, which this Brianna chick claims that you are not. Wrong answer, tiny dancer. One more thing I forgot to note on the Terrell and Brianna situation. So when Iyanla Vanzant asked her like about the money situation, she said she don't even know how he gets his money. And I'm like, probably from residuals and tours. How you living with somebody and not know how they get their money? Girl, you sound dumb as hell. We all know you really are there just because he a Jackson. End of story. Just own up to it. And, you know, you got 2 babies. It's good. Come to find out her dad wasn't around. And she also, I guess, in some ways, she saw Terrell as her daddy. Okay, because, you know, she knew he was a Jackson. So, of course, she gonna go after that. Then Iyanla, during this episode, decided to provide them with a date night. No kids, no nothing, because they said they haven't had relations in a long time. They just living in the house together. So she was like, okay, y'all gonna have date night on me. And there came up a situation about who was gonna drive on this date night, and I'm gonna drive. And he was like, see there, anytime I try to step up and be the man, here she go. I was like, because she has a control issue. She has to be in control of everything. And I could tell from jump, because even though I didn't know this woman from a trick off the street, I knew that she was one of them women that will overtake a man because she has to be the alpha female. I'm like, you shouldn't want to mistreat a man like that. He seemed like a good man, but you know, hey, I don't know what goes on. One viewer said that they've created a parasitic soul tie. I said, that's deep. That was deep. So she said that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And then when Iyanla Vanzant found out she had a housekeeper, she was like, well, what you need a housekeeper for if you a stay-at-home mom? And then she started crying. I was like, Iyanla Vanzant, I hope you can see past this, because she started making all kinds of excuses. She talking about, my mom, I feel like I disappointed my mother, because she raised me to be strong and independent. And I just ran away from it because I didn't want to be like her. And I was like, girl, you've been watching entirely too much Dr. Phil. This is from the book of Dr. Phil. You tried it. You just coming up with all kinds of excuses. Meanwhile, poor Terrell. Now, one of the things I noted is that she said one of the worst days in their relationship is the day his uncle died. And we were talking about Michael Jackson. And one of the things that saddened me about it, because I think that all of us have some sense of guilt, like if I had called, if I had gone by or something. But Terrell was saying how he was so sad about 2 deaths in his life, which was, of course, the passing of his uncle, as well as the murder, he believes, of his mother, because there was a guy that she was involved with that, was mean to his mother, and he said he wished he had spoken up and said something to his mother about this man. So he's had all these different crosses to bear in his life, and just dealing with these burdens, and felt as though through all of this, the abuse that he's under from his baby mama, he deserved these things. And he felt like that was his punishment, because it's his fault why he was molested. In some ways, it was his fault why Uncle Michael died. It's his fault why his mother drowned in that pool. So it's like sometimes, and he probably just never got help, which is typical in any black family. They were raised Jehovah's Witness. Mama Catherine probably just told everybody to pray and have kumbaya. No one needs to see a psychotherapist. Jehovah will provide. I'm willing to bet that's what happened, if he even spoke up. The Oprah Winfrey Network said that you cannot enter into a relationship broken. Terrell and Brianna. Healing is an evolution and has multiple layers. This is so true. So true. So they didn't provide an update to say what happened at the end of this episode. But comment down below and let me know what you guys thought about this particular episode of Iyanla Vanzant. Personally, I think Terrell need to cut his losses, get a custody agreement going, and you see the babies whenever you come back off the road with 3T or whatever it is that you doing these days. Because that girl don't mean you no good. She just laid up on you because she wants you to take care of her because she lazy. She don't want to do nothing. Iyanla Vanzant told her to get a job. Okay, I was like, because she told me, he won't give me money for child care. And I was like, so you saying he Dr. Dre? Like, he just leaving you at the house with nothing? He left you with the housekeeper. Is the housekeeper, can she also double as a babysitter? I mean, I'm just asking for a friend. But comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Be sure to thumbs up this video as well. Now, let's talk about this new show that's on OWN. By the way, shout out to Cousin Oprah. She is giving it to us. At first, we weren't too sure that OWN was going to survive, but thanks to the Tyler Perry shows and now all this other original programming from Queen Sugar to Iyanla Vanzant to Greenleaf. I need to just do a summation of that because the season is over next week. But let's talk about the book of John Gray. Now, I came across a very interesting article on The Root about the OWN network and Oprah hiring these so-called homophobic pastors. She says that John Gray has a problem, or the writer, I don't know, I can't remember if it was male or female, and I'm like, you kind of stretching it. Because number one, let's see, who's the other pastor she was talking about? Oh, T.D. Jakes. She had a problem with T.D. Jakes because he's preached about homosexuality. Problem with John Gray because John Gray has preached about homosexuality. And Joel Osteen, since John Gray is affiliated with the Lakewood church, he's preached about homosexuality. Here's the thing. These particular spiritual leaders, of course, they're going to speak about homosexuality because guess what? It's in the Bible. It is mentioned in the Bible. It is mentioned in the Old Testament and New Testament. It doesn't necessarily make them homophobic. It just means that they're preaching and teaching a diverse group. Because I've never really heard Joel Osteen say anything. Put it this way. If I ever catch ministers who are constantly, that's their whole theme of their sermons, then that gives me pause and lets me know that you obviously are in a battle to try to figure out which way is up. Okay, that's what I get from that. But I don't think that Oprah is anywhere near homophobic because Nate Berkus is one of her homies and Ellen is one of her homies. So you were stretching it, and we also are a diverse audience. So you gotta have something for everybody. This just can't be about. There's equality and then there's equity. So once you learn the difference between that, I think that this world might be able to move forward. But John Gray, this was an interesting episode. John is battling diabetes. And he's known for a few years that he is diabetic, but has kind of ignored it. And that's typical of most males and most anybody who gets diabetes. Because a lot of us, when you find out, oh, shoot, I might lose a limb. I might end up in a diabetic coma. I can't eat what I want to. I can't enjoy. The problem is, and I noticed in him and his wife's relationship, is that these people don't go to the doctor like they should to get advice and guidance. One of my very good friends who I consider a mentor is diabetic. And one of the things that she has told us time and time again is that it takes education for you to be able to deal with that type of disease. I don't see why you are not going to a dietitian, why you're not going to these different sessions. When I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, I immediately went to a dietitian and she taught me how to eat and things I should be eating and putting into my diet, things I could snack on that are healthy and tasty. So it's a balance. My thing is that the type of lifestyle that John Gray leads, because it sounds like he's always on the road, and if he's not on the road, he's out ministering to various parishioners and being called on, which is typical of most ministers, and he truly is living out the purpose of his call. One of the first people we see is Miss Gwen. Miss Gwen's niece, I believe, is who called on her because she's had not one, but 2 open heart surgeries. She's 50 some years old, but she's putting everyone ahead of her needs. And that's one of the things that many of us do, and that's why our health, in fact, suffers, because we don't take care of ourselves first, and we spend our times taking care of others and putting other needs first. I'll even go so far as to say that if you don't feel good and you worried about your job, just know God will provide, okay? Because if you don't feel good, go take your behind to the doctor first, okay? So those are relationships that we're talking. We're talking about familial relationships as well as those work relationships, that relationship with how you survive and make money. That's why we pay so much for insurance. Take your ass to the doctor. That's all I'm saying. And he talks to her about her issues. He says that she needs to take care of herself. But in my mind, and just like his wife said, she was like, oh, the parallels are there that you need to take care of yourself. And one of the things that people don't realize is that when you are diabetic, it affects a lot of things. One of my friends passed away a few years ago. He was diabetic, wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, and was like 42, 43 years old. Died from a heart attack. It affects everything. So you have to take care of yourself. And he's like, I need to get this under control. But what are you doing to get it under control? Then his excuse is that, well, I'm always on the road. That's no excuse, because you can still make healthy choices. But he had me hollering when he was like, my wife ain't always around to see what I'm eating anyway. And I promise you, I believe that those waffle fries from Chick-fil-A are from God. And ooh, when you mix that lemonade and that sweet tea, woo, glory! I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to try that next time I'm down to the Chick-fil-A. Thing is, I even tweeted, I said, Pastor John, if you don't get that diabetes together, your heart will be an issue. So I'm praying for you and Miss Gwen, okay? The OWN Network responded with, it's time to take things seriously. Yes, it is. Amen. Then he goes to counsel this one lady, and I was just looking at her like, oh, can somebody just clock her in the head real quick? Because I was like, girl, Girl, you doing too much, Miss Allison. You need to calm the hell down before you end up without a husband and you can no longer be a housewife. She just had a baby. And as soon as she had this baby, she like, oh, we gotta get pregnant again. I want ducklets. I want multiple children and all this stuff. And one of the things that I appreciated about this episode is the fact that Pastor John pointed out to her is that the problem, you've lost focus on the blessing that you have. Charlotte is a blessing because she suffers from PCP, which was polycystic syndrome or something like that, where you have a lot of cysts and stuff on your ovaries. She hadn't had a period for 5 years, and then all of a sudden her period came on, and then that was the window of opportunity for her and her husband to get pregnant. So she has one baby. Then next thing you know, as soon as she drops baby Charlotte, she wants to start having another one. And I'm like, girl. And then her husband was like, the treatments are $23,000. I was like, oh, Jesus. Somebody. That's a down payment on the house or something. Oh, I mean, I would want kids too. But if I got to pay $23,000, if the good Lord did not bless me with a baby on his own, I would just say I can go down here to the adoption agency and get me some kids, okay? But she really, this is her obsession, and it's affecting her marriage because, like, the husband is like, I've had to pick up jobs and do all of this to make ends meet. Ashanti, you said you think it's a mental thing. I also think that it's also the pressures of society. Society tells us as women at a certain age, we should have had children by now. We should be married by now. There are so many societal constructs that people choose to be confined and binded in until you will literally go insane trying to live up to those standards and constructs. And it's just not worth it. You know what? If you don't have kids, so be it. If God blesses you with kids, it was just meant to be. They're blessings. Plus, you so worried about getting pregnant and focused on that. As long as you stress out, it's not good for you anyway because there's not a likelihood of you getting pregnant. Stress will prevent you from getting pregnant. PCOS, that's what it is. I've done research and going through what I've gone through. Even at only 24, I used to feel pressure. Ashanti, there's no reason to feel pressure to be a mama. If God wants you to be a mama, so be it. I am 40 years old and I have no intentions of having children at this stage in my life. But I do not mind being part of what I call the village. And I've said this before in previous videos. I truly believe that some of us were put here on earth to be a support system for those of you who become parents ultimately. That's the purpose of having godparents and sister friends that you can call on to help out when you need help. For instance, I had a friend that had a family emergency and one of her sons needed to get to and from practice or whatever. Guess what? I'm single. I ain't got no kids. I got a dog I consider my child. But you know what I'm saying. And I was able to take him in and do what I need to do because I'm single and willing to mingle, you know. I don't have those obligations. I'm not tied to not being able to help my friends out. So, and my friends know if you need someone to help out with your kids, I'm totally there to help out if I'm available. So, Aventer, Pastor John Gray's wife, he tells her about the story of Miss Gwen, tells her about the story of Allison and the pressure to get pregnant. And he advises that she should go see her. But in the meantime, in between time, you know, Aventer's parents have moved in to help out because John is always gone all the time, you know, ministering and running revivals and all of this. So she was like, and when Aventer told me y'all hadn't been taking y'all's medicine, I was concerned. Why y'all ain't taking your medicine? Aventer like, well, you know, my thyroid medication was making me sick. And then that's when the fight broke out. And then she done got up from the table crying. And when you hear I was going to talk to you about it, he was like, I don't even remember. Maybe you did text me, but I don't remember. I got off the road and you didn't say anything about it. That's right, you're always on the road. He talking about when we got engaged, I told you this was my calling and this is what I was doing. I was like, oh, shoot. But I like it because it shows that marriage is not perfect. Even if you're a minister, a man of God, it's not going to be perfect. And sometimes First Lady or your ride or die gets a little frustrated because she don't realize that you don't necessarily just belong to your family. You also belong to the other children of God. But it was funny to me because I'm like, how you gonna be on him about his diabetes, but you up here got thyroid issues and you not taking your medicine, nor does it sound like you even bothered to let your doctor know, hey, by the way, the medicine you gave me is making me sick. Is there something else? Can we adjust the dosage? I know that in addition to that, you can probably also go see like a holistic doctor. I know my friend does both traditional and holistic to help with her thyroid issues. So I don't get it. And then she got up and started crying. I felt like, I know this is reality TV, so I just want to let y'all know they looked a little staged to me. They looked a little suspect. Okay. I just said, you're not here, and I did text you. You make it sound like I was being deceptive. I was like, oh Lord. But Avatar also was a good voice. It's good to have a right-hand person when you're in the ministry. But she was able to go talk to Allison at the playground and let her know that you are not defined by how many children you have in this world. What I also found interesting about this Avatar, I'm the first stay-at-home mom in my family. And I was like, okay, girl. Usually you hear stuff like, I'm the first college graduate in my family. No, I'm the first stay-at-home mom and I'm so proud. And I was like, girl, if you don't get the pressure off your husband, you gonna have to go back down here to the Safeway or the damn employment office and try to figure out how you gonna get pregnant from the sperm bank, because your husband gonna be either dead to the concrete or he gonna just pack up and leave. Okay, that amount of pressure, don't no man need that. Gutter snipe. Girl, you talking about Neffa, girl. I'm up here talking about Terrell now. But now I'm on the book of John Gray, girl. But we need to talk about that episode, or those two episodes. So I'm going to do that in a separate video. But I got to take notes on that because she said a lot of good things in that Neffa and Shelby episode. And he's single now. They going to get a divorce. John said he prayed and asked God to help Miss Gwen, the lady with the heart condition. And he was able to help her by taking her to a floral class, because this is something that she enjoys doing. The lesson from tonight is count your blessings. You can look at what you don't have and complain. But if you look at what you got, you can say thank you and be grateful and reflect. I personally now do a grateful journal. I like the ending as it was closing out. One of the next to last scenes was John writing to his father in the journal about diabetes took you and now it's coming to take me, which is kind of scary because the writing's on the wall. If you know that your father has suffered with this condition and there was probably something more he could have done, why are you not doing more? I know it's easier said than done, but I mean, I know it's hard, but just sacrifice. Even if you want to be bad on the weekends, I don't think that would be bad. And honestly, once you get in, and the doctors have told him if he loses a weight and changes his diet, he won't even need to be on insulin. So let's get to it, Pastor John Gray. You walking in your purpose. But the end of the journal, he said, well, I got to go, Dad, because there's a kale salad waiting for me. Okay, and that's pretty much it. The episode closes out with them attending the birthday party for baby Charlotte. They also close out with the fact that at the end of this episode, 4 months later, I believe it was, probably when she stopped freaking out and worrying about it, Allison became pregnant with twin boys. So, it may not be ideal. Hopefully this will satiate her need to be a mother, because now you have 3 babies total. Ooh, child, I don't know how you do it. I got a friend right now. I was like, ooh, child, I don't know how you do it, girl, because all them kids, ooh, Lord. And it's not that it's a lot of kids. It's just that the age is so close together. Did she have triplets or quads? Ooh, Lord. Either way, girl, God bless you. You know who you are. I love you. If I was there, I would totally be coming by to help out with them babies, because they need to know who Auntie Diva is. All the babies need to know who I am. But anywho, that's all I've got. Millie, I will definitely be talking about that episode. It probably won't be tonight, but probably later on tomorrow once I get my notes together, because that episode had me dying. But this episode with the Jackson baby, he had me, I feel bad for him, because I was like, you just letting this woman browbeat you and take your manhood and tell you a piece of shit. I wish she would. I wish she would. She need to be put in check. She need to be put, and I could tell just by how she was looking. I said, she is an opportunistic parasite. She knows that she has him wrapped around his finger. He also feels trapped now because he loves his kids and wants to be there for them. And, you know, he just feels trapped. And so he said that if he could get an arrangement, he would be out. But they said they working on their relationship, but I personally don't think that he need to be with her. I don't think she's good for him. I think that he needs to separate himself, go to therapy, and get himself together and just be a father to his children and be a provider for them. That's my 2 cents. That's all Diva has for this review. But thank you guys who did join. Ashanti, I'm going to be praying for you, girl, and for God to heal you and deliver you from that PCOP. Is that it? Or PCOS, that's what it is. And also praying that, you know, when the time comes, you will be blessed with children if that is the desire of your heart. Millie, I will holler at you tomorrow. We will definitely talk about Neffa. She's all nasty, bitch. Gutter sight, straight up out the hood. Can't help it. I can't help it. Anyways, good night. I have been Miss Sophia the Diva. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and thank you for joining. You've been all that. Diva out.